Okie dokie. Oh, hello, my peeps. Excuse me. Um, okay, Tracy here, the paper pusher, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, tired person. For some reason, the last couple of days, my glasses have been super late, and I keep doing this. I must look like an idiot, but I keep just like pushing them up with one finger in the middle. I think I still have to fix that camera. So I need to be able to see my computer. That's part of the problem. And I'm a little late today because sneak peek behind me. After this weekend, I have my last big event before Christmas this weekend, and I'm so excited for it. But I'm also still getting lots of stuff prepped and cut and all the things that I've already prepped and gathered up and extras. And but in the middle of all this, because I haven't been busy enough, I think I told you first I bought a cabinet and a shelf because I was using leftovers and they weren't working. So I bought those two and they looked so good and they worked so well that I went and switched out. I had three bigger shelves behind me that just came with the house when I bought it. And now there's four of the same ones that match the first ones I bought. And I realize now maybe the black sweater is a bad choice, but oh my God, these things they look so good. The storage is fantastic. The access to the stuff on the bottom, oh my God, game changer. And so I've been purging as I've been going and getting all this stuff ready. And I wanted to make sure, like I can't have that camera. I can't figure out it quick enough how to switch it. But so the camera that goes straight on from my computer, I didn't want to line up with, I'm going to go with this hand, I guess. Right there, this little line. I was trying not to have it. But I was trying to have everything. So I kind of moved stuff around and I did this last week. So then I go live today and I forget that I just moved some stuff. I didn't actually check anything or, fix anything. Yeah, nothing is where it's supposed to be. Like, I don't know, we were practically looking at the ceiling on the camera. So there's your sneak peek. You will get a full tour once the weekend's over. Everything's put away. I still have to retrofit the one little thing, but I think it's going to work so perfectly. It's another one of those things that was so hard to access, and now it's going to be so much better. I've been having so much fun getting it done, but it is work and it is disruptive. So let's go back to, I forgot I have shortcut keys. Let's go back to the right view. There we go. So we're going to get going. This is just one of those things. I didn't do this yesterday. I did post a message saying that I was doing my live tomorrow because I was live yesterday. I was like live and in person at the Living Library, which is pretty cool. And the morning session was school kids. Sorry, I don't know why that was such a hard thing. All of a sudden, I wanted to check something on availability, but there was supposed to be 150 of them. I'm not sure if there fully was. There's usually way more, but because of the teacher strike, they didn't have time to coordinate with enough classes, and some of the teachers just said, "We've missed too much school already. We got to make up for some time." So there wasn't as many as normal, but there was some cool stuff and lots of people, and it was a fun day. And we ended up with all but about 30 of the cards got personal messages inside. Some of the ones from the kids, oh my God, they're so fun. Some of them are like really impressively heartfelt, and I was quite impressed with some of them. And then some of them are just funny and entertaining. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So those have been handed on to the Taste of Home group, and they are putting the boxes together this weekend because these people are fucking another country on another continent, and need some lead time to get all this stuff there. So yeah, they're already getting the stuff put together this weekend. So that was a cool project. Yeah, so because of that, sorry, train of thought is just like going all over the place today. I bought as soon as it came out, and I always tell you, and I'm going to tell you again today, these kits are out. I always say, like, some kits don't last long. I can tell you which one of these two I think is going to be the more popular. We'll see if I'm right. I knew with the Christmas kits, though, they were going to be popular, and at some point during the Christmas season, they would sell out. Well, the week after they came out, Stampin' Up! Puts them on sale. So, of course, those two kits have sold out, and unfortunately will not be back until after the Christmas season. So you have to plan this for next year. Then the common, or sorry, that's the Nutcracker and the Common Bright. The red truck one, which I cannot remember the name of. That's what I was just going to check though. It sold out. It was from the month before that they released it. It sold out, but it was supposed to be back. It's called Road to Christmas. I'm looking at my website on my phone, looking at the Stampin' Up website. This is a customer site, so it's okay to show you. So this one, the Road to Christmas one, can I do this? Yes. This one is supposed to be back at the end of the month. This one is still in stock, the memory keeping one. That's the fall one. This one, they're saying not till January. And then these are the two new ones. Actually, I don't know which picture is better. Adventure Awaits. This is, I think, going to be the more popular of the two. It is so cute and so like retro, but it's also just, it's got a lot of card options, right? It comes in 3 languages. I'm not sure why no Dutch, but something about the translation, I'm sure. But because it's got like something about adventures and roads, and there's pre-packaged things. But yeah, you got a truck, a car, and I think the other one's a convertible, which I guess is still technically a car. But this is just like a fun, bright color, nice, like fun set. That one just came out. And then this other one is beautiful with the blues again, called Everyday Beauty. And there is Celebrate, Thanks, Hello, Beautiful, Thanks for all you, so thanks for all you do. So these are really pretty cards. So those are the 2 new sets that just came out. If you are interested in either one of them, yeah, I think this one's going to be fun though. But yeah, when I say get them while you can, because they do. So unfortunately, because I'm going to show you so many cool things you can do with the Nutcracker. There, I'll get my train back on track. The Nutcracker set that you can do that I really wish it was in stock, but I have this all geared up to show you, and I'm going to show you anyways, even though now you can't get it. Now I'm just going to make you more jealous, I guess. But you could also just like make a note of this, save it, and use it in your plan for next year. Or we could luck out and they could come back early, but don't plan on that. I meant to show you, I was going to show you a couple other things, and I just realized now that I did not grab the stuff to get them ready. So let me see how quickly I can do that. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do, so I only had 1 registration for my class at the end of the month. So I'm just going to talk with her and might just do class in a box, which is always an option. I had the one lady do that a few years in a row where she would show me a card she wanted to make, and I would put all the stuff in a box, plus the stamp set, plus it's me. So there's always like extra bits and pieces and things you could do, or, you know, if you want to use like 3 different embossing folders instead of the same one. And then, because that way when you can make the card you want, but then when you're playing, you can also get a little creative. And some of the cards she made were just, they were amazing. Like it was so fun to watch. Her and her husband made them. Actually, the first year it was her and her fiance, then it was her and her husband. And they would make the cards together and have like it was like a Christmas tradition. It was so much fun to like the stories. And then she would just give the box back when she was done. And so, and I would, the first year I gave it to her, I made a little video saying, okay, this is how the Big Shot works, because she hadn't used some of the stuff. If you've been to class, you know how that works. I don't need to make you little videos, but yeah, it was lots of fun. So we might have to just like do something like that instead. Yeah, my newsletter was weird this week, and because I was trying to, it's hard to figure out how to say, like, I don't want anybody doing anything they don't want to. I know money's tight. I know schedules are busy. And so I don't want, like, I'm not trying to guilt people into anything. I love to do this. But I have lost money on like almost every class I've ever run, because I just do it the way I want to. And attendance is what it is. Theoretically, I need 4 people at every class to break even. I'm not worried about profit at this point. Just breaking even would be nice. I rarely get that. And so, but I'm getting to the point where it's getting frustrating. So I'm trying to figure out stuff. There's also some times of the year where it's not super busy. So the January one I went with, I'm going to try to do like an online one again, because it's not to say that smaller groups couldn't meet together, and you know, maybe that will morph depending on if anybody registers. But I was trying to do it that, hey, if you do it online where we could just meet by Zoom, maybe it's easier on the schedule. I can tell you from a cost perspective, because I don't have to rent a room, the cost of this compared to the cost of like anybody else offering a class with 12. This is a fraction of the cost. So I'm going to try this. I'm not booking anything else for January or February at this point. It's really hard to get people to show up those months anyways, but I'm going to see if this goes. So if you want to craft in January or February, give this a shot. You do not have to have the advent calendar, although the advent calendar is one heck of a deal, and would just make this so much like, then you don't even have to think about it. You could just put all the stuff together. But if not, you'll just get the stuff the week before for the following week, and you just have to figure out what set you're going to use of your own instead of the advent calendar. And so, yeah, we're going to have like one little kind of quick intro, which will be recorded. So if you can't make it because it's between Christmas and New Year's, then that's fine. And then each Tuesday in January, we're just going to make some crafts. And I will tell you that part of this is, if you want to buy an advent calendar, but then you're not sure what to do with it, well, this is to help with that. It's also after the Christmas holiday, sometimes there's a bit of a funk. Well, this will help. I think crafting for me is super therapeutic. So, and if you're super busy, it's just a nice way to like take a moment for yourself and do some stuff. So this was my idea for January. So if you are interested, let me know. I've posted it a few times. When I post it, there's a link that has like all the there's 3 different levels you can register at. Here's all the details. Here's if you want the pieces to make your own, you can get them. Otherwise, you can just make your own. You can just go with the PDFs in the group. I've already started posting in this Facebook group the reveals that I did, plus the reveals that Stampin' Up did, which shows a bit of the project. Some of their projects we're going to make just like they have. Some of them I'm tweaking them. One, I'm tweaking it to make it easier. Some I'm tweaking it because I don't know that people necessarily want to make that specific project, but we can make one like it. So I really hope this goes. I have had so much fun so far with this, and I can't wait to share it with people. So let me know. All right. So now allow me to tease you with the stamp set that you should have bought when it first came out. Okay. So this is the Nutcracker tag kit. Okay. So my brother, who just retired from the Army, I have been giving him Nutcracker stuff for years because he's a soldier, right? And to me, that made sense. My son loved the Nutcracker, all the Nutcracker movies we've seen. Every I would say imitation, but that's not iteration of the Nutcracker that was out. We've seen Disney ones and live ones and musical ones and not musical ones and Barbie ones, and every one of them loved the Nutcracker. So I've always had a thing for Nutcrackers, and you'll notice afterwards. Oh, there, I forgot one more thing. Just a second. You'll notice when we get to the show and tell portion that yeah, I'm a Nutcracker hoarder apparently. But that's okay because it's come in super handy for me this year. Okay. I needed that, and then I need to get yeah. So I'm also trying to track down, and I might luck out because my BFF said, hey, they have Toy Soldier chocolates at Dollarama. So I was all excited, of course. 3 Dollaramas later, have not found them. So the last 2 were this morning. And so now I'm trying to figure out, I have to actually ask her where she saw them. Obviously or I could assume it's the one by her house, but we don't live that far apart. So you would think I'd have them too. Anywho, this is the kit. So where's my big pile of samples? There we go. I have so many samples for things. So this is, I'll take that out of the way. I'm off today. Like everything seems like today with me. This is what, something's weird with my camera though, which is, no, this is still gonna be one. I don't know what is going on. I moved it. It's so hard. You know, when you're trying to adjust something and you're like, oh, it's got to shimmy it to the right. So you moved it to the right. And you go, oh, no, wrong direction. That should be left. And then you move it the other way. And then you move it the other way. See, just like that. And then there's a delay. And I don't like when like things aren't even, but something just seems off. Anyways, these are what the kit makes. And here's the other thing. For some reason, what seems off is also the fact that this seems super clear all of a sudden. So I don't know. So this is what they make. They make little like sort of 2-piece tags. You can write on the back, and you don't even have to worry about the front being not being level, because you just slide this over and write on the back if you got a flat surface, right? So these are just like fantastic tags. Comes with the twine. This is just one way you can do the tags. You could make loops out of them. You could hang them on the tree. I do them this way because then if you need to tie them on something, oops, there we go. You just wrap it around and tie them on. Or you can just make it so that they can decide what to do with them afterwards. So these are the things. We've got the 3 little boy nutcrackers and 1 girl nutcracker. And they all, I'll show you some other samples there here. They all have like the 4 different sentiments in the 4 different languages. So you can pick and choose and mix and match whichever way you want. So when I saw, these are all the pieces that came with it. So when I saw these, instantly I was like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be, because this is for cards for soldiers that I did. We did. It took more than just me. So I wanted to do those. So when I saw them, and then I waited and waited, because in the mini catalog you could see that this was a kit that was coming out, but they didn't show you the details. So I wanted to know, like, how many, and was it going to be cost? Was the cost going to work? And what are the pieces, and like what else comes with them? Because I could see the picture, but that doesn't 100% tell me. So as it turned out, they come like this. Every one of them has a sheet, and so there's an extra one of these sheets in the kit. So you get 4 extra banners and 4 extra sets of the pop-up elements. And I'm going to show you what I did with some of those afterwards. But just know that there's 1 extra sheet of this. There is exactly the right number. I cut my sheet in half. Yeah, I don't know how this. No, it was this way. There's the exact number of holly that you need. There's the exact number of nutcrackers that you need, but there's 1 extra sheet of these pieces. So there's fun things you can do with them. And then the sentiments, like I said, come in 4 different. I have lots of extra pieces. I've already gone through 2 of my kits. Most of 2 of my kits. Plus we used 10 of the kits for the cards for soldiers. And then we have some leftover pieces that I have methods of dispersal planned for them. So this is what you get, all the sentiments and all the different languages. So, tons of bits and pieces, tons of fun. And I've got something's not going back in the box properly. Okay, so those ones. So when I saw this, I thought, well, this is perfect, because I can use these pieces to add to the card, right? These ones. Yeah, there's delay today. So for the cards for the soldiers, this is what I did, right? And they don't have to be for the soldiers. You could just make cards for whoever. So I cut these 2 little keyholes off, right? Just kind of followed around, and the other ones I cut straight off. So this is the tag in the back. And then I popped up the holly on, these are on dimensionals. And then I took the string and I cut smaller pieces of it and just tied it into a little bow, because it's just, you need a little kind of embellishment or a little bit of black on it, just makes it look better. So I had that one. I used the sentiment. Oh, I took the same sentiment. Put the sentiment also, just popped it off on dimensionals. And then this guy is, I just, like I said, I trimmed the little loop off the top, and I just stuck him straight down, because they're different. This guy, it's his mustache and his crown. This guy, it's his hat and his beard. For the lady, this guy's hat and beard as well. And for the lady, it's her hat and boots. So this is what I did. And I was like, oh my God, these pieces, they work so well. So the first card I made, I did it just on top. And I think the card works, right? But the background, to me, I like a little more. I tried a embossing folder. Yes, I like the embossing folder. I especially like this one, which is a retired one. I need one that's holly. I need like little teeny tiny hollies is what I needed. And as much as I like it, it would have meant I needed more cardstock and more, like, it would have taken more time to do it. But I was trying to keep the cost low. I just about came close. I was close to covering the cost of everything with donation. So I was trying not to make it any more expensive and needing to buy any more stuff. So I do like it with this, and I think it even with a better back would be great. But then I thought, well, nope, we got to do this. So let's do it with, and these are 2 different retired things. Sorry. So I have this very old retired, it used to be one of the roller stamps with the music on it. And then I have camel. I thought the camel might be a little bit too on point. So I went with music notes. And then the lovely people that came to help me on Sunday, thank you guys, ladies, very much. Tamara had I also had an old background stamp that had music on it. So we went with, so there's 2 different kind of sets of music, but it just gave it a little bit more. It's tone on tone, and This was like the final version of the cards. So we did all four of the combinations the same. We did like 2/3 of them on Poppy Parade and 1/3 of them on the Garden Green, and that just made them, it worked better cash wise for like buy the packs of cardstock. There are 4 colors. The other colors are Granny Apple Green and Summer Splash. So if you wanted to do 4 different colors, those are the 4 different colors. But I was trying to keep it cost efficient. So we made these cards. So that was awesome. Well, if you've ever crafted with me before, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to put things. I have so many things going on right now. If I can't bury things because then I won't be able to find them. If you've crafted with me before, then you know that we don't craft without table treats. So the ladies that were coming to help on Sunday to put all the cards together, I cut all the card bases and I had all the supplies ready. And then it was open the kits, trim them off, popped up all the little, because this took a bit of time to put dimensionals on the holly, the sentiments, and then whatever little pieces they had. So I needed to make table treats. I didn't need to make table treats. I like to make table treats. So I made these guys. And I'm going to show you how to make these. So I made these guys. So these are from my own kit. This was not from the kits that the money that was donated paid for were the ones for the soldiers, but I had bought my own kits. So I made a half a dozen of these to give to the ladies that came to help. And this is the banner and the soldier from one side. And then you know how there was that extra sheet? Well, I used the banner from the extra sheet to make these because I needed a way to close them, right? So in this case, I closed them with a string, a little bit of the twine. Make it so you can see better. So you can just undo this, and then there's these delicious little chocolate bars. And these are, they're not as easy to find as they used to be, but they're just a nice size chocolate bar. But you'll see afterwards, I was trying to make it so that I could efficiently do this because I'm using all my own supplies, right? So if you're going to make a treat holder, ideally you want to get at least four per sheet of cardstock. So this is what I was making, but I came up with the idea that I could do this to tie them because I had these. Now, if you try to make all 12 tags into treat holders, you're only going to have one extra set of these. So you'll be able to make 4 of them, but you'll have 8 left behind. So we have some other ideas too, but anyways, so this is what I did. Now with this one, because I made it out of a quarter sheet of cardstock, the ends don't, and I'm just going to show you bits and pieces as we go along. The ends don't fully match up, but this way I could get 4 of these out of one sheet of cardstock. If you want to get it so that the ends are like this, so they're like perfectly covered, I'll show you again. That chocolate bar's falling out because I didn't tie it back in, right? So this is a quarter sheet of cardstock. You get 4 of these per sheet of cardstock. This one, you see how the ends go all the way and like a nice finished bottom, which, I mean, who doesn't like a nice finished bottom? But is it essential? That's where you got to look at it. So this one, it just took a bit extra cardstock because I needed an extra 1/4 inch. That's the difference, right? So instead of this being a 5.5 inch piece, this is a 5 3/4 inch piece. So you can get 2 of them out of a sheet of cardstock. You just can't get, well, I guess you technically could get 3, but if you turned one sideways but anyway, but I decided this really wasn't necessary. This was quite fine because if you're looking at this adorable thing with this adorable little nutcracker, which I don't take credit for, they just came that way, and you've got this on the back and you've got a chocolate bar in the top, who's checking out whether the bottom's even or not? And even if you do check it out, does it really matter? I mean, it's nicely finished. It's just not 100% flat, like, right? So I'm going to show you how to make these ones. In the process, though, of trying to figure out if I could do it, I didn't decorate this other one, but I also had, the idea of just trying to make just like a sleeve, right? And I've seen this before. So you could make this sleeve, and so you can get 4 of them out of a piece. And this is our little girl one, and then I just tied a bow on it. So 2 things to show you on here. This is what they look like. Oops, I gotta stop moving so much. If you just like pop one out and stick it on, and it does look cute. But I will tell you, And just so in case you're wondering, like, I don't know if time's a matter, because Lord knows you have enough of these. You definitely don't need to scrimp on these, but maybe when I show you the stuff we've made with the extra projects that we have, maybe you'll think, oh my gosh, I gotta save some of those and make extra ones of those. But so these ones, I just popped them up on dimensionals. And like I said, they're different. Most of them, it's the hat and their facial hair, but for the girl, it's the hat and her boots. So it just gives it that little extra, right? And it's more noticeable in person, obviously. So I'm trying to get these things up like that. Right. So that's the only thing you could leave them just flat, or you could pop them up. Now this little treat holder, which I'll show you when we're getting to the other one, it takes a piece of ribbon, because it's basically just a tube. But you see, when you do this, you just take a chocolate bar out. So that is basically what it is. So you could make this a little bit longer if you depending what it is you're trying to put in. I'm going to show you another one too. So I'll show you how I made the first one, and then you could just adapt the sizes. So yeah, this one is just like a hollow sleeve made with the same chunk of cardstock. And this one I just punched some holes. We have the little mini trio of punches that we currently have for sale. Has a kind of a tag looking topper. Oh, I want to say a 1/8 inch circle, and then this little like ribbon slide, and it's perfect with 1/2 inch, 3/8 inch, and then you just pop it down. And yeah, like I said, the beauty of it is when you pull up on these things, it pulls out. So I did see, just as a side note, the very first convention I ever went to, somebody just gave me a swap. I was so excited. I was like, oh, and they were like, is this your first time here? And so she gave me one of her, and I still have it somewhere. It was with the owl punch, and they had punched the owl out to look like a nurse. And it was with like the little tiny packages of Kleenex that you get. And she had done the same kind of wrap with the same idea with the ribbon. And she turned it into, like, the front had this little nurse owl on it that said, feel better soon. And so you had like a little to give to somebody who was sick. So you can adapt this to whatever you need to put in it, right? Obviously, you're not going to put a bunch of loose items in here, but if you have one solid item kind of thing, this is a great way to do it. And this is quick and easy. So there's that. And then, well, I'll show you this one too. So, and then I'll show you how to make them. So part of it is trial and error, and I will show you trial and error. These are the first two I made that were not the right size. And it's just a matter of trying different dimensions. And as it turned out, this was a 1 inch square, and this was a 1 1/4 inch square. Too small, too big. And what turned out in the end to what I needed was 1 inch by 1 1/4. So I needed not a square to make this fit the best. The other ones are plain, like they're just the cardstock, right? This one was just cardstock. I could have done something on the back. I could put DSP on it. I just didn't get that far. I'll show you some DSP though. This one I felt didn't need anything because I had stuff on both sides. So I thought these two little sides, that's fine. But this one I thought, well, the other thing I wanted to do, and I forgot about it until I put the box together. So the stamping is horrible because I stamped on the box once it was a box. So I couldn't really push hard other than what I could hold up with my finger. But yeah, you can also push that. So this one, I just made it a slightly different way. And you almost don't need the string. I just had it on there because this thing was bowing just a little bit. But this one is the same idea. I took one of the nutcrackers. I took the banner that went with it. And you can see on here that I just bent it and folded it over to make like a lid. And then I glued the banner down. So Sir Nutcracker opens up. And then if you have not tried these, this might be the best thing Reese has ever made. I love peanut butter, and these little thingies are delicious. But you'll notice they're a very different size than the original box, right? These are a good inch longer, and these are at least double the thickness. But this is what, spoiler alert, what my family is getting on the Christmas table. And I needed to make like 16 of these. So that's why I have extra kits bought already. I know better. So when they first came out, I bought all the kits for this that I needed for the soldiers, plus half a dozen for me, because I knew I needed at least a couple to just do my family stuff. I needed a couple to make samples and to make treats for the volunteers. But you see this one, it just sits right. So it's just a slightly different version of of the same box. And I will, this, I just realized now, this is how this is written out. So I will do the same, and I will give you the measurements for these two boxes. And then this little slide thing is the same box. I just cut the bottom tabs off it. You can see it's the same. Oops, if I moved it this way, it's the same height, right? So this one is just this box with the bottom tabs cut off. Or if you needed this to be like a 1/4 inch longer, you could use the same, like the same thing, and just don't put them on. So I'll just write out those different measurements, and you can see the different ways you can do it. Now, yes, I'm fully aware that this kit is currently sold out. So if this is your idea for next year, because wait till I show you the cards. I haven't even finished yet. Then, you can save this and you can figure it out for next year. But it's also just like a really good way to make some boxes for these particular treats, which you then, seriously, oh, there we go. I was going to say, oh my God, what did I just do with them? I just had them. Just knocked my pens over. I set my pens on top of them. Which, if you are like me, oh, my sneak peeks, I just knocked everything over on the desk. The whole moving everything around and reorganizing, not completely done. And even when it is done and I have time to actually just like sit and play, I know that I'm going to move things around. So nothing's 100% yet. But my guess is you have something like this. Like I have, this is from My Joy to the World, and this is branching out. Oh my goodness, do I like branching out? Ornamental Christmas. We got A Child Is Born. Oh my goodness, these little dudes. Holy flip, do I love these little dudes. So here, let's move these out of the way. This is the wrong color. But let's take this tag instead, especially if you're using on the shorter one. Look at that. That tag is like the exact size of this shorter box. Look at that. Perfection. So, and maybe I'll use a different one because that's just contrasting and not showing up very well. But I'm sure you could use one of these boxes with, oh, it's 2 tags that are there. Yeah, let's put this tag here. Nope, because those are all white. With like a different tag. Sorry, I can't pick anything up right now. And a different die cut or a different something you have, right? And I'm pretty sure you can make it. So, and even this one, because these guys are super long, and which was perfect for that size chocolate bar. But even if you did something like this, so all of a sudden I'm like, do I not have a single sentiment? And put just a different sentiment on it or something. I'm sorry, I realized I'm off camera. Like, that's not the right thing. But like, I'm sure you have other pieces around the house that you can use. These are just scraps I'm pulling off my desk, off the piles of things that are beside me on my desk. So I'm sure these boxes would work for other decorations until you can get that crackers. And that's why I decided I was going ahead with it anyways, because the boxes still work. They work so perfectly for this, but they also just work in general. So let me move all of this stuff out of the way again. So we're going to make the main box, and then I'm going to show you that, because like I said, this one's it's just decorated slightly different, but still same idea. And I'll take pictures of the 2 treats that are in them so that you can, if you are looking for them, you'll have some idea what I was talking about. I would imagine, depending where you're watching from, I just all of a sudden realized I didn't even check to see if you commented. Depending where you're watching from, you'll obviously have different options. And even, I can't remember where I went the one time. And they had something, my brother used to live in the States, right? So we're always comparing like what you could find here and there. And between Canada and England, there's a lot of similarities. But I remember I was traveling somewhere and I found like the same chocolate bar, but I was in Europe at the time. So it would have been like probably imported from Britain versus imported from Canada, because it would be a whole lot closer. And so it was the same chocolate bar, but it was not the same size. Like the packaging was slightly different for the different market. So even if it's the same one, so you're going to find something that is similar in size and fit to this, and you'll be able to figure out from the box what size it is. This final product, which I will write on there, this is 5 1/4 tall. So this is 1 1/2 by 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 tall, right? So whatever chocolate bar you have that fits that, or whatever nail file or Kleenex, or I don't know, whatever you're putting in them. Okay, so I'm gonna leave him there. Now, the beauty of this is it takes a quarter sheet of paper. So if you're making multiples, you can score them, and you'll notice when I do my score, like my score instructions, instead of, I was using card bases. Like I always cut and score card bases, and I have a whole big tray of them, right? So I was using them. So this is basically a half a sheet of paper. So if you want to make two at a time, just do it like this. So you'll notice on mine, like it, even though it takes a quarter sheet, when I write the instructions out, I wrote them as if I was like to remind myself, okay, so I'm making two of these, right? So the first thing we're going to do, and you'll see it all come together. So this is my halfway mark. It's scored, but it's going to be cut, and it's going to make the bottom, so it doesn't really matter. But I want to score at 5 1/8, and then 5 7/8. Oops. And what I'm doing is I'm getting a score line. If I get the right angle, you might even see it. I can see it, sort of, but I know where I'm looking for. Just a sec here. We'll do this, make it a little easier. See if it's easier to see. There we go. So I'm going to cut this when I'm done. This is another one of those score once, cut once, get two things. Like, it's just easier. So I'm going to cut this middle score line. So now I have a half inch on either side. So that's the bottom flat, right? So we're going to cut this in half. So if you imagine, this is one treat holder facing up, and this is one treat holder facing down. So that's why we're starting with a big piece instead of a quarter sheet. If you were just starting with a quarter sheet, then just, okay, now you can start paying attention. Score, what is this? 5 1/2, 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom of your paper, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to score. Yes, that makes sense. So for a minute there, that didn't make any sense to me. We're going to score at 1 1/2. We're going to score at 2. We're going to score at 3 1/2. I'm going to do this do long here a little bit. Or 3 1/2. And we're going to score at 4. Okay, I said a quarter inch before. This is, I was looking at that thinking that's a big quarter inch. This is half an inch. I just realized I said quarter inch before. And then this. So now I'm going to turn it back around the other way, and I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut at 5 1/2. Right? So I scored originally, and then I scored, and then I cut. So now I have two treat holders. Now one is going like, here's the gluing flap this way, and here's the gluing flap this way, and it doesn't matter because you do the same thing. But now I have two. So if I had done an entire sheet of paper, I would have done the first half, cut it, done the second half with all the scoring, and then turned the pieces and cut them in half, right? So it just saves you some scoring. If you're going to do them anyways, score them all at once and then cut them apart. Okay. And on when you see the instructions afterwards, you'll see that there's instructions for cutting like this piece, like where to score and where to cut. And then you can also, if your card is this way, it will show you how to score this way and then this way and cut them in half, right? So if you just happen to be using, and I like to do that with the card base because, and I've done it before, I have a whole PDF tutorial on it, but sometimes when you get card bases in kits, if you don't want to use it in the kit, or if you just really like it and want to make a treat holder out of it, you can take a card base and score to make a nice little gift box that holds a gift card or little treats and stuff. So I've done that a whole bunch of times. And so that's kind of how I like to do it. I like to be able to make use of pieces I've already got or pieces that I've got that I'm not going to use for their intended thing. Card bases just happen to be one of them. Somewhere I have. Oh, it's in my box here. They have the plaid card bases that came out in the mini catalog. Super cute. So you want to make a little plaid box, just use, if you don't happen to have plaid cardstock or DSP, then just use that, right? So that's why I did that. Okay, so we now have this. Okay, find my scissors. So what we're going to do, and this is going to be the same every time. This is, so the skinniest strip, the 1/4 inch strip, which, geez, I don't know if there was a better, here, I'll do it this way because then you can see what I'm doing. Normally I would cut and then burnish, but I'm going to burnish and then cut because then you'll be able to see what I'm doing. There. Okay, so it's a little easier to see, I guess, when it's bent. So this is the 1/4 inch strip. This is the smallest chunk. And I will draw a picture of this for afterwards. So we are going to make this so that the same as the way you flag your ends on. I'll do this down here. I'll do this just enough that you can see what I'm talking about. So the same way that we flag the ends like this, so that when you fold them in, if there's any like slight shift in the score line, it's not all of a sudden sticking up and making for like messy corners. Well, we're doing the same thing here, right? Only this is just a really big tab if you look at it this way. So we're angling in these two pieces, and then we just got rid of this bottom chunk. This is like standard box making. This is a side. The two skinny pieces are a side. Now, if you're doing all four, it's not as easy to figure out which way goes which, but the one closest to the gluing tab is the side, because you want the gluing tab in the back so you see a nice clean seam in the front, right? So these two big panels are going to be the front and the back. So this one here, the one in the middle, is the front. The one on the edge is the back. These are sides. So you want to have these two flaps, the ones that go with the front and the back, are the two that you want to have the nice clean edges, because that's what you're going to look at on the box. So that helps you figure out that these are the tabs that you want to, you're going to cut them all apart, but you want to make sure that you keep the ones that you're going to see on the front and back square, and the ones that are just in for support are the angled ones. So whichever size choice you pick, that's how they go. And then I told somebody else this the other day. I said, I have used liquid glue more in the last couple months than I have in 15 years. I used to use the seal for everything. Tear and tape is still my favorite, but a lot of the stuff I'm getting, you know, pretty slick with the measurements and stuff. To use tear and tape, ideally you want 3/8 of an inch. This is a 1/4 inch, which I could very easily use tear and tape on, but you just have to fold it over a little bit. But I just thought, no, you know, I'm going to start using the glue a bit more. And sure enough, I am. The more I started to use it, the more I just kept going. So we're just going to fold this over. I put glue on that flap as I was yapping away. And we're just going to do this. Now, once it's done, the way these boxes work, you can always squish the box flat, right? So once you do that, before you put the ends on, and then you can give it a good rub. But I like to make sure that I've lined up my two corners first, because I find if I squish it like this, sometimes I squish it sideways. So I sort of hastily, or like line it up and just, not hastily, like lightly put the things together. Give it a second to just, yep, that's right. And then I squish it. So now I've got my box. So this is where my seam is. Now I like the seam to be at the back. When I look at the box, I don't want to see this edge. It's not like it's super rough or super noticeable. I just don't want to see it. So I always put it at the back, which means this is the front flap. So this is where I want the nice clean edge. It's so funny because it's such a minor thing, and yet I am very particular about it. It's just that it's if you're going to make something nice, why do you not take one extra step and just, you know, do it the right way? So if I'm looking at this part here, let's see which zoom will stay in focus and show me what I want to show you. Okay, we'll try this one. So this is the front of the box, right? I guess so. You're looking at it like this. So you're seeing this nice flat edge. Now, if you look at the other side, all you're seeing, it's not showing really well with this color. Oh, look at that. Now I just got to get it to focus. Ooh, look at how zoomed in that is. Because of this time delay, I'm swinging things back and forth. Okay, so you can sort of see there's this little ridge, right? And on this side, it's just smooth. So we're just going for the smoother side, right? Like it's not a huge thing. I'm just particular about it. So when you see me make the boxes and I'm telling you this is how I do stuff, it's because I'm particular. This side, it to me is way more obvious than the front flap. But so seam is in the back, right? That's on this side. So this is the front flap. So what I do when I'm going to put these together is I take the front flap, because I keep twisting things sideways, you'll notice. I'm going to take the front flap and I'm going to hold the box with my finger on the front flap, because now I know this is the front flap and it's the last flap to go down. Okay, so this, I'm holding it on purpose. Now, normally if I'm doing a box and the sides go like this, right, where the sides completely cover each other, I like to put this side down, then the flaps, then the front, because then these two little pieces are not in the bottom, like the bottom is smooth. Again, it's just a picky parts thing. But in this case, because they don't go the whole way, I don't want to like miss on the glue. So sometimes I will just put these flaps in first, put this flap down, and then the next one. So whichever way you're doing it, you do want to have, so I'm just going to put them on this tab because I know that this flap is not totally covering. You do want to, like, the more glue you have, the stronger your box is, right? Like the cardstock is what makes the box, but the glue is part of what gives it structure. So I put little glue on here. It's partially to hold those tabs down, because especially when you see the next move I make. And partially because it just makes the bottom of the box stronger. And then I'm going to put on this seam, I'm going to put a little thread here. I'm not going too far here because I don't exactly know where the cardstock's going to hit. And then on this one, which was where my finger was before, I'm putting it just on the inside because I know this flap is for sure going to hit. The same thing, if I go too far down on here, is it going to hit that hole? So now I'm doing this. So I've got two seams that are going to overlap. And as I'm putting them down, I'm just going to kind of square this up. So I'm pushing this down. So you see what I mean by squaring it up, so that my box is not kitty wumpus, one of my favorite words. It's not crooked. Now I'm going to carefully, without making it all screwy, flip it over. And then depending on how tall your box is, in this case, this box is almost as tall as the bone folder. So I could use the bone folder, right? And I'm just pushing down. I'm just tapping around and pushing down. Now I happen to have the ever so handy old chopstick in my office that I use for when the box is deeper, because I can get a better grip on it. Because you see how much sticks out of the box here versus how much sticks out of the box here, right? But I'm doing this once I put it down and once I've kind of pushed it, and I'm just kind of holding it and I'm just doing this, right? I'm just tapping. If you do this and you catch one of the flaps that's not totally down, you can bend it up and make it more in the way than ever. So I just kind of tap, but that's just getting all of the glue to hold to each other. So now I have, and again, who doesn't like it, a nice secure bottom, because we all want to have a nice secure bottom. So that is as easy as it is to make this box. Now, if I had wanted to make this one, I either cut my piece of paper shorter, or I just take off this bottom row and I make the same box just without the flaps. And before you know what, let's just do that. Okay, so I'm going to do my same thing. I know I'm going to have to glue this, so I'm going to do this. I'm just not going to bother with the bottom one because I'm going to cut it off. And I'm going to take my little cheater. I know it's retired as well. I have products that are retired and I like them and I use them. So I know that I can't, but I'm sure you guys have something at home that is what you use to cut things with. I slipped that just at the end and they'll just slightly crooked. And as we have established, I am picky. Okay, so now we're going to, the other thing, I don't know if you noticed, you could fold like this piece, this is the 1.5 inch section, right? You could just pop that over and push on it. 1/2 inch section, pop it over and push on it. But I have noticed in my experience that 1/4 inch is just not as easy. So when I'm folding, I'm sticking my nail kind of along that fold as I'm going until I get that initial thing, because it will keep this from getting all bent and wonky, which makes a nicer seal. It's just the 1/4 inch one. It's just a small strip. So see what I mean? It's basically the same as the other one, only it has no bottom. Now what you want is this is the back, because this is where the seam is, and this is the front. So what you want is a little slot here. So let me grab that punch, because I wasn't planning and I didn't get it out already. I have quite the, okay, so here, this is what I found, all sorts of innovative storage things to do. So I have a whole bunch of retired little mini stamps. So this is the trio that I was talking about. with the circle, the one that looks like a tag. Actually, I'm going to use that because if we have time. Ooh, I'm running out of time. And then we have this little slot. So you could do what I did. And you could put the whole box together and then go, oh, darn, I forgot to punch the holes, and just like jam the thing in and hope for the best. Or you can do it like this when it's flat and much easier to do. So unfortunately, you can't fold the box. Like you can't totally line them up because this piece is, like, this one's open and this is right. So you can't 100%. You can do this depending on how big your thing is, but chances are your punch is going to hit this and make it squashy. So don't do that. So what I like to do is I like to take the front, because the front is the one that most people are going to see. So this is the front. Remember, the one closest to the gluing tab. This is the front. And it does not matter if you glue it this way or if you glue it this way, right? So it's just however you feel like holding it, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to take my punch because I can see better what I'm doing, right? And I'm going to go like this. Actually, I usually line it up so I can see. So I'm going to center it so that it's centered between this score line and this score line. And yes, you could measure and you could put a mark, but I basically eyeball everything. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, so I'm happy with that being fairly centered, right? And then you don't want to be too close to the top, because if you pull too hard on the ribbon, you'll rip your cardstock. So I am not quite, I am 3/16, not quite a quarter inch down from the top. And I'm going to punch my little hole there. And then I'm going to flip this over. And this is not glued yet. I'm just kind of holding it as if it were glued. And I found out that this was the easiest way to do it. So now, and it, like I said, I'm doing the back now. So if I'm slightly off, it's not going to be as noticeable. The front is what you want to make sure is nice and pretty. So what I noticed though is if I slide this punch in, so I'm holding this box square, right? I slide the punch in and I use this hole as a window to see where the other one's going to be. Now, I don't know if I can make that work on TV or on this live to show you. But if I look through here, I gotta figure out what the right angle is. So let me see what I'm doing, and then you can see. If I could get it there and hold it. There we go. It's hard to show, but so I'm looking through here and I'm lining up the circle, because if I do this like this and I line up the circle behind it and I punch, now these two are in the same spot on the card, because I basically went and looked through here and used this as the template to line up this part that I could see, this dark circle, or I guess it's not a circle, but this dark part I could see. So you can mark them. You could use a ruler and cut and mark and center and erase your pencil marks, or you can just do it that way. Eyeball the first one, use it as a template for the second one. And then we're just going to glue this together. The other thing I forgot to show you, I'm going to put the lid on because I think that's the end of my glue for now, is with boxes like this, when you have the sides are the same, you can always do this. Just stick my finger in the glue. You can always do this. Fold it flat. So the back is down. Actually, in this case, it's the front, but either way. And then this is one of the sides I have here. And then here's the gluing flap. And I can go like this because this is always going to line up. And I could just do it flat on the table. I prefer to hold it in my hand to do it, but I can do it flat on the table and just do it like this too. And now, and then I flip it over and I squeeze it. Right. And now I have my little part that I feed my ribbon through. The ribbon goes through very easily, I find. And all you have to do is put it through with one side. If you're lucky, you can just stab it through both, but I find that rarely works. But because I find it's easier just to get a corner through. Stab it through the second side. And then if you hold your ribbon and like go like this, pendulum it, so you have your center part, right? There's my center. My ribbon is nice and taut. And then I take my chocolate bar and I go, wah! And now my chocolate bar is in there. And you can fuss, like I like to bend over the little things like this to try to, make it sink it in a bit. And then you just tie it closed. Now, my net crackers go this way, obviously, but any one of these treat holders could also be made this way. Like you could use it. I could put the bow on the side and I could have like the long writing this way and you just pull it out sideways. let's get creative with things. Like I said, this one, I just put a flap to open it up. If you were making something shorter, and you like just wanted to use a piece of cardstock, you weren't worried about it, getting 4 to a sheet. Oh, here we go. That's what I was looking for. You could make this longer, like just double up the same flap that's at the top. Just add a bit of extra cardstock to make a flap at the up here, and you could have like an actual glued closed box. This I just know as I'm saying this is soon is not gonna make any sense. Okay, so this is our box that we just cut, and we have our gluing flap like this, and we have big, little, big, little, right? This is the front, this is the back. So that's this box. So if I wanted to add on another piece like this, right? I could do that, close my box up, and then I can glue this, and I can glue this, and my box is completely closed, like sealed up. So when they're basically ripping the box open to get it. But if you're at an event or something where you're putting these, like you're making them and you're putting them in a box and you're giving them to somebody else and somebody else is putting them on the table and people are going to be picking their seats, and like if you're doing something where this thing's going to get manhandled a bit like a wedding or something, you maybe want something more secure. So maybe you do want to just close them up, right? Now, the other thing you can do, right, that's glued shut, is add another, and this is the same dimension, you can add another flap. So this one ended up like for the box that's not totally together was a 1/4 inch. But if I was going to make the box like this so it was nice and flat, so if I was gluing it shut or doing this other things, you need them to be like full, right? So if I did this with a 1/2 inch, and then this is whatever measurement you need it to be. So this one's a 1/2 inch. And then if I added on another 1/2 inch at the top, like this, and then you're going to cut away, I guess depends how you want it to go. Let's go with the way I would do it. Nope, sorry, I did that backwards. Like this. So if you made another one and then you cut away all but the front flap, right? I put an F here for front. Then you would actually have a box where the thing would come up and tuck in. And then you would just have to flag this a little bit and flag this a little bit so that it actually fits into the box. So you could use this same template and have a box that folds over and closes. Okay, so it really is just a matter of figuring out what measurement you want. When I went to make this one, I'll draw this on another thing. I'll draw the 3 different versions, I guess. But when I went to make this one, I did this. I put it on my mat, and I'm like, okay, that's like an inch-ish. And maybe, well, the other one was half. This is about double, so this is an inch. So I made the same box. I just made it, grabbed a piece of cardstock, and I made it 1 inch. Now, it's more than long enough, as you can see, but you can also see that it is bowing out this way, right? So this is wider. As far as the thickness of it, I probably have a little bit of room to play. It's close, but this is definitely not big enough. So then I took it out and I did a 1/4 inch, or like 1 1/4 inch. So I added a 1/4 inch. So that made the bottom had to be bigger. So you'll notice that this is shorter, right? Because I was still just using a 1/4 sheet to see what I could get. So when I put this in though, so now I have lots of room this way, side to side. It is a bit shorter than I want it. Although if I had something decoration going up in the front, but you'll see that a 1/4 inch is very roomy. Like this is super loose. Like this is a waste of resources, right? There's like, I can stick my entire finger down the front of this thing, which is where I then came up with this one where it was 1 inch by 1 1/4. So I got the, I had spare stuff everywhere now. And so I got the width that I wanted and the depth that I wanted, but no extra like wasted space. Now I could have, the same way that this is sort of making a top here, I guess that other diagram I was showing you, this would be the box, this would be the one flap that you keep, and this would be the little one. If I hadn't taped it to the back of this guy, I could have tucked it into the box, right? So just play around, measure a few things, try them out, see what you come up with. This one just sits on its own. I had it tied shut just because I tend to like make them that secure. but you don't have to. So we have that one, we have this one, and we had, oops, I got the ribbon on the wrong one. Here, we'll just quickly tie this into a bow and faux it, make it look like it was where it was supposed to be, right? So we have the slide. That really didn't work. We have the slide one. We have the fancy one, and they're all like just slightly different sizes of. I can't not do this the right way. So yes, I will put them out, and then like I'll make a quick little PDF thingy of them. They won't be a PDF; it'll just be diagrams. But if you need to watch again, and before I do the PDF, I will maybe I'll make one of the boxes with a flap so that I'll take pictures of what they look like, so you kind of get the idea. Oops. So here's a good lesson for you. When I put those down, I set this box on top of one of the pieces of ribbon, so it pulled the ribbon all from one side. But you can just, oops, I got my hand in the way, but you can just pull it back up again afterwards, and it'll level itself off. So there we go. And then we just tie our bow. Why? Well, I don't know why I keep my chair too close to the table. I don't know what's going on. My new camera setup, I feel like normally I feel like I have to stretch to make sure things stay in the frame. But this time I feel like it's very weird. Why can't I all of a sudden tie a bow? Normally I when we were doing our cards on the weekend, everybody was just sort of divide and conquer. And so some people were stamping and some people were doing, and I said, like, I like the bows. Do anybody want bows? And they're like, because not a lot of people like to tie bows. And so I was like, no worries. I like the bows. I tied 120 bows. Every one of them, I'm sure, is slightly different, but normally that's my skill I can do. So there we go. So those are our different treat holders. Now, I'm sorry I went over. And we had the original tags. And we have the original cards that we made with them, right? So this was all cards for soldiers. Then I had all the pieces left over, right? So I had the spare pieces that we had to begin with. And I had to figure out something to do with them. So I made some extra projects. So for anybody, I think it's I think it's a worldwide thing. I don't think it's a North American or Canadian thing necessarily. Movember, right? So for the month of November, men grow. It started with mustaches, but I know a lot of men, it's just facial hair in general. For awareness and research they used to call it cancers below the belt, which I just thought was like a funny, I don't know, there's something, I just thought that's clever wording, cancers below the belt. But they also include men's suicide now. So now they just call it Movember. But so this was like our little facial hair pieces. This is one of the extra banners. I just popped it, or cut the little tab off and popped it into my little corner rounder. And then you see these three little DSP circles. Those are from, I always get it wrong, Heartfelt, whatever the World Card Making Day kit is with the awesome container that you hold them all in. That one super cute card with the little birds. These are the little pieces I popped out. And so, of course, I have them in a bag on my desk with all the leftovers from the kit, because I thought, nobody throws out DSP circles. And so they were the perfect size to put the little facial hair on. So this is, You've Got This comes from the set that we used it for extravaganza. It's in a couple sets I think we have that's got You've Got This. So if you were giving a card to, a Movember card or something, this could be the You've Got This because you're going to beat the cancer, or it could be You've Got This because you're going to win the beard growing contest, which is very popular. This card, I forgot to look who did it. Tamara actually sent me a picture and said, look at this cute card made with the nutcrackers. So you know how you have extra banners. Sorry, I always have the envelopes done at the same time and they're behind. But so yeah, this is just the extra banners. I just picked the 3 green ones, and this guy I took, and you'll notice this is not the same one. They have this little border around them. I guess I could have just showed you this one. So I just trimmed him super close, right? I just went around a fussy cut because I like to fussy cut, and trimmed him so that he was right on it without that extra border. I just like that little touch. You could do that whenever you want. So, but isn't this a cute little card? Oh, and it was so easy. So far, you'll notice that with the exception of this, not a whole lot of stamping going on. This kit is just amazing. But I gotta move that out of the way. I've got punches and soldiers and chocolates and everything everywhere. And then I also made this card with the extras. So these are just they look like 1 inch. They could be 1 1/4, but I think they're 1 inch. These are just squares of white cardstock that I just cut out. And I like, you could put them in like centered if you like to center things. I like things a little bit askew. So I just put them in a little pattern I wanted, put the 4 hats and a little thing there. Now, I know somewhere we have a stamp that says hats off to you or hats off or something like that, like congratulations. So I think this would make a super cute congratulations card, especially if the congratulation thing was happening at Christmas, because there's that little bit of holly and little bit, but it's still, I think, pretty adorable. Now you'll notice, I'm not opposed to plain cardstock, but I do tend to fancy mine up. I had this just on here and I wanted a little more on the background, so I did a little bit of tone on tone stamping. And this is where hoarding comes in to play. Hoarding for the win, I like to call it, because I have this stamp set called Sugar Plum Dreams. And doesn't it just have this adorable little nutcracker in it? It also has holly, which I could have used, but this little dude, oh my goodness, is he not cute? So I used him and I stamped all over just a layer that's slightly smaller, because I do like to have the little borders as well. So I just stamped on him and got that kind of little nutcracker. And when you're doing something like this, like I stamped him, I stamped him and then I trimmed him, and in the end I ended up cutting off half his face. But I started so that like here where I was going to see, or here is where I was going to most see the guy. I started stamping in that corner or this corner, so that chances are that the entire card wasn't going to be cut in half, guys. So this guy's just peeking over. This guy's just kind of peeking around. This guy's just kind of peeking. This guy's, so it turned out really nice. But don't just like start in the middle and like realize what part's going to show most and start there to make it like slightly better. So I did that one. And then for anybody who donated cash, thank you very much. And if you want to still donate, we're still just a little short, so just message me. Anybody who donated cash that wasn't there, I made a little thank you card to send them, and they're all sent out now, so I can do it. Look at this little dude, right? This little stamp peeking up the top of the envelope is just too cute. So I made this little guy, and I originally tried to color him in the Lord Strat colors, but it didn't work as well. So I just made him here. He's on an extra layer because blends go through, but I love blends. And this is from the recently retired My Small Business stamp that says, your support deserves a big thank you. So I made these little thank you cards, but just with this little guy and just a little bit of coloring. Adorable, love him. So yes, I was having lots of fun, and I'm probably not done yet. Let's face it, there's more to play with. Oh, I also, on this, I like to do envelopes and stuff, right? So on this one, I just took one of the little pieces and just glued it to the envelope. So as I'm looking around, I'm doing this, right? I also realize I still have this one, which also has a nutcracker. And this is the one that has the mustache die, which this mustache I have used for Movember cards before, but you can use it for Santa or not, right? So I have this one. And then, as it turns out, I saved the nutcracker. This was some world thing. There was all sorts of different sentiments in different languages. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago now, the DSP. And when I was finished with the DSP and I was putting it at my little sale, I pulled out the nutcracker sheets though. I don't know if there was 2 or 4 originally, but I have these 2 whole pieces of nutcracker paper, and I admit it, I don't want to cut it because and then I thought, well, that's ridiculous. You saved it because it's so cute to use, but you're hoarding it. So at some point I'm going to use these 2. But yes, I realized I had a nutcracker problem this Christmas. So there you go. That was my little walkthrough. So using kit leftovers, using a few retired things, but even just using the kit leftovers, or making tags, cards, or treat holders. You really need to play. So yeah, I will get some measurements. I will be honest with you. You're probably not going to see the measurements for these until Sunday when I'm sore from my big event on Saturday and I'm just sitting on the couch and doing all the like writing them all up because I'm too sore to move because I do have a lot of prep to get ready before then. So I'm going to go do that. But yeah, Nutcracker kit. If you are interested in this kit, let me know. One, in case I know anybody who's got extras that they're selling, because then I can let you know. Or two, if it does come back early, or even just if it comes in after Christmas, to let you know. So that if you want to get it, because like the Halloween house kit sold out super quick last year. And so when it came back this year, I thought, people are probably like, whatever, it's from last year. But I did go on low inventory. I don't know if it ever did sell out, but I did go on low inventory because once the holiday got closer, then it went again. So if you really want this, because this is like your plan for next year, because we plan ahead. Let me know that you're interested, because then I will keep an eye out for the kit and I can just send you. I look at the site pretty much daily. So if it all of a sudden is back in stock, I can send you a message and tell you if I know I'm looking for it. So, alrighty. Thanks, my nutcrackers. Have a great day, great weekend. I'll be back at the regular time next week. I do have something on Wednesday, but I'll make sure I'm done by. Actually, I have two somethings next Wednesday. Whoa. Okay, I'll either be live or I'll have a video ready, but I will see you next Wednesday. Have a fabulous weekend and take care.